which we have discussed by parameters. So now again continuation of that approach, there are some other approaches as well, based on which again different methodologies are there. So one of them is positivism or positivist approach. So this positivist approach is related to the quantitative approach, actually quantitative and qualitative, because it will fall again. They are specific approaches. So the positive approach, it is an approach, it is not a methodology. In some cases, they are approach and methodology also. Later on, it will come, some of this. So positivism or positivist approach. So now this we are including because they have been there in as per UGC syllabus also for PhD program. Kindly mute it, please. Now, see, not all approaches or methodology could be more used in a particular discipline. This one is applicable everywhere because this is related to the quantitative approach. But subsequently, when we study about phenomenology, ethnography, etc., they are related to some specific field of research. But this one basically referring to quantitative approach. It is applicable everywhere. But remember that this is not a methodology. There is no method, research method like positivism. From this methodology has come, like your descriptive method, experimental method that will be studying subsequently. So let us now understand about this positivist approach. I think just please mute it somewhere it is coming. So positivism, this is the positivist philosophy long back advocated by Auguste Comte. Auguste Comte is basically a sociologist actually, but renowned sociologist. Those who study masters in sociology study in deep about it. So according to him, positive means being certain or affirmative. So now, when can we be certain or affirmative? When the things are concrete, when the things are, we believe that what it is true, isn't it? So this approach believes knowledge as worthy, which is based on empiricism, means experimental, where you can say confidently that some kind of methodology is there where you can say that yes, it is like that. So it may apply statistical method, it may apply some experimental research, like in science, in bioscience, in pharmacy, and so on. So this approach, therefore, as I mentioned, it is applicable in all kind of researches. Not we cannot say all kind, but all kind of disciplines you can say, different fields of study. So this advocates for use of scientific method of inquiry. Yes, which is more of methodical nature. There are some qualitative research where you have a lot of flexibility. But in this talks about stepwise scientific methodology. Then the approach, it relies on objectivity and rejects subjectivity. So in qualitative research, qualitative, there will be some kind of subjectivity. But this method relies more on objectivity. Now it helps that deviance is real, deviance deviate. I think. Okay. What Comte says that there could be differences. Difference, then people will say that no, objectivity, and there are deviants. I think maybe some student. Hello? Good morning. The deviation, different opinion will be there. And that's how we have different approach and methodology. But to him, in research, objectivity is a must. It seeks understanding of cause and effect relationships. Hello? लिंक शेयर कर दूं, वेट, वो डायरेक्ट मोबाइल में। एग्जाम्पल, कॉज एंड इफेक्ट रिलेशनशिप, like in say pharmacy. If one medicine is there and they test it through research, then if the particular ailment, the disease vanishes, then cause effect relationship. Same thing happens if we make the people aware, say in journalism, through some television or media, then because of awareness, maybe some wrongdoings can be less. So cause and effect relationship. So that kind of thing which are measurable, those are concrete, and therefore Comte says about this positivism. So we do have such methodologies in research, we'll study subsequently. But at the same time, there have been criticisms raised against positivism, like by studying only the objective features of an act, meaning is ignored, because there are various perspectives which we look into for increasing even the knowledge domain. Then those who say that those who create knowledge by like constructionists, meaning is heart of social process, and meaning is not inherent in the act, it must be constructed. Mean whatever we see, then we get it, the knowledge we create it. See, when the apple came to the earth, nobody had named it. It is by name by whom? Conceptualization by some people, sometime by its feature, sometime by features we give the name vegetable or fruit. So that's related to the concept formation. So that's what they say, that divergent opinions is required according to its critics. So an act is nothing until it is categorized, conceptualized, and interpreted. Actually, there is some concept theory on this concept building also. That's not our part, but that refers to those things actually. The construction of knowledge, conceptualization of things, and so on. Causality, to say one factor cause or causes another, cannot be determined with any real degree of precision, not in 100%. That is also true, because even despite repeated testing, it happens that it cannot be 100% as we see in a weight machine. 1 kg means 1 kg. So in research, 100 degree of precision is not there. So therefore, those who have know about these statistics, you can refer. There is when we test the statistic, we say that this is significant at 0.05 level and significant at 0.01. So why this? Why not 100%? That's the reason actually. So of course that one part of statistics, we'll discuss that separately, but linking it to that one. So true objectivity is impossible. Every observer is to a degree contaminated by personal, political, or ideological sympathies. To the critics, it is mentioned that we cannot avoid taking sides, or like we have every researcher or anybody, political leader, a person is carried by personal, political, or ideological sympathies. We cannot avoid taking sides. So we do that, avoid that bias and other thing, but it happens sometimes that as human being, many a times we are not able to eliminate fully those biases. So therefore, true objectivity is impossible, which is emphasized in this positivist approach. So this is one approach about positivism. So that is related to your quantitative approach in broad category. Now, phenomenology. This is related to qualitative approach. There have been various philosophers, including naturalist, existentialist, and so on. From there, this approach has been derived, like by Albert Camus. He's a phenomenologist. So phenomenology, unlike positivism, is an approach, but phenomenology is an approach as well as methodology. In other words, one can do a qualitative research adapting the methodology of phenomenology. So this is a quote exactly by Albert Camus. This heart within me I can feel, and I judge that it exists. This world around me I can feel, and I likewise judge that it exists. So there ends all my knowledge, and the rest is construction. That means others are related to positivism. So this is more towards that what you see and believe, and what you feel and know. So and phenomena are around us. Everything that you see around is a phenomenon or phenomena. It's a singular plural form actually. Phenomenon, when we say, for example, the plant world. So all plant that you see, that's a phenomenon. But we say anything about like where you have a natural habitat, it could be phenomena because so many things in common in that. So from that point of view, it is the same thing otherwise from phenomenology. So it is a philosophy and a research method, and in that case by positivism by Auguste Comte, here it is by Edmund Husserl, philosopher and sociologist. So these are the features of phenomenology. The basic idea in this approach is to study and describe objects and events only by what could be seen clearly. I mean, something like which we cannot see and like supernatural thing. Those things we cannot do research, or that what Husserl said. Anything else that is not immediately conscious is to be excluded. So here, rather than deductive of empirical methods, phenomenological method was to rely on the information gathered by the senses. Through sense, which we mean our five senses. And yes, for learning, for knowledge, we do use senses, knowingly, unknowingly. Unknowingly also. Like if a child, when touches the fire, automatically moves out the finger. And next time, the moment see the fire, next time it will not go to nearby, because experience that one through the sense of touching, isn't it? So that's also knowledge is possible. So the naturalist philosophers also have believed in this phenomenology. So to throw away all scientific and mathematical knowledge and beliefs in order to study phenomena more accurately. So phenomenological is what we can visualize, see, touch, feel through senses. Those they believe in, acquiring knowledge. Some more features. The approach has similarity with the philosophy of existentialism, which believes in the importance of human cognition rather than belief or assumption. Of course, this through the cognitive process, that is the mind, only we can judge things. Although senses are there, unless will not work unless your mind is there. And phenomenologists agree that there is not a single reality. Each individual has his own or her own reality. So here they differ with the objective, this positivist. In positivist, single reality. Here they say no. There are multiple realities, and people do believe in that multiplicity. And we do have believe in multiplicity these days. The researcher in the phenomenological study identifies the phenomenon to explore and then develops research questions. Here nothing like hypothesis and other, because many a time hypotheses cannot be formed, but they are placed in the form of research questions. Because hypotheses require some kind of statement and particular way. Hello? Good morning. हाँ जी हाँ. हाँ नहीं नहीं, मैंने सेव भी कर लिया है जो भेजा था आपका। नहीं नहीं, वो है ना वो आप। So in this we adopt different kinds of data tools like observation, interactive interview, video tab, then written description by subjects. So here we even do not use questionnaire much because you need divergent views means such tools where you can accommodate divergence. So those are your interviews, observation, and questionnaire. If you adopt, then within that framework only one has to work. So depending upon particular methodology, we have different kinds of data collection also. The outcome of data analysis is a theoretical statement responding to the research question. So here there are no numbers, percentage, and statistical analysis in phenomenology. It is by qualitative analysis. So like quantitative analysis, qualitative analysis has its also own methodologies, which will come towards a later part, testing of hypothesis in that case. Okay, so in phenomenology, it is to summing up, it is qualitative approach. The analysis will be done qualitatively, applicable in limited subjects like if in bioscience or say um, natural science. If you want something application of methodology like phenomenology, it will not be applicable. Hardly you will find study in this. But in subjects like anthropology, sociology, journalism maybe, or psychology, here it will be much more applicable. And next, ethnography or ethnomethodology. So this is also an approach as well as methodology, both here, like phenomenology. So it has its own step, ethnography, considered as an approach as well as methodology. This also. So in this case, the assumptions is that about this methodology, the underlying assumption about the method is that every human being or human group eventually evolves a culture that guides a member to view the world and the way the members structure their experiences. So this talks about again, and like what we see, believe, but from the point of view of going back, evolving things, cultural groups. So this is more applicable in studies of anthropology, sociology, social work, these areas actually. Could be in psychology also. So the assumptions mean we develop a kind of culture through over a period of time, and this is true also. And we preserve also. Sometime in the modern scientific age, there could be a culture which scientifically not correct, but still people follow that and retain it, even preserve it. Like I'll give you an example. In the country of Eastern Africa, which is your Ethiopia, Kenya, Eritrea, Sudan, etc. People eating raw meat, mean without cook. They put some kind of salt and this chili powder. Then soft one, they piece got it, and they eat it. Even today also in the age of scientific age. And they serve this as a compulsory item during marriages, ceremonies, etc. And this one, particularly when I'm talking, this I have seen also. I was there in Africa for quite some time, in Eastern Africa, same in working in universities. So there, together we have seen, even in the university functions, we have seen people eating. Then when we used to tell that why you do this, it is not scientific or may not be hygienic. So they say that it is our culture and we want to preserve that. So those things are there. There have been researches based on culture. So it's not only in Africa. There is things are there in India also. So in later part we'll talk about that more. So now aim of this study, aim of ethnographer is to learn from, or rather than to study, members of a cultural group, to understand the worldview as the people define it. So it's a methodology. You don't know when it will be over, and it's very difficult also sometimes doing a research through ethno methodology, because we need to be mixed with the particular cultural group. We need to follow the rigor of ethno methodology. So that's very difficult that way. From methodological point of view, it has two perspectives in ethnomethodology. One is emic perspective. It refers to analyzing from inner viewpoint. That is, it refers to the way members of the culture envision their world. It is the insider's view, means those who are part of the culture. So if you want to do a study in Nagaland about the tribe, then you need to go there. You cannot do it from here. It will not be valid if you do from here. Or if you do from secondary sources, you will get the material about Nagaland also there. But it may be over. So actually this one is again will limit, but it will connect again. So maybe in case some break comes, then again I'll connect it. So be online in that case. So emic perspective. Then there is outsider's view, etic perspective. It refers to the outsider's interpretation of experiences of that culture. Then those who do not belong to that culture. There could be media person, management person, doctors, teachers, parents of other, all these how they view it. So together it makes the viewpoint analysis in that research called emic perspective and etic perspective. Now let's see its characteristics. The ethnographer invariably takes extensive field research to learn about cultural group in which they are interested. And they come, and if you see the rigor of research in Western universities, particularly those top universities like, that whether you take it Stanford or Tokyo or in Harvard, those people also come to India, African countries from their stay months long and study with that research. There are universities or the country do fund that. And if you have come across, it is sometimes risky also. There was one researcher from America. He wanted to study the tribes in Andaman Nicobar. And he had gone there. So the local administration, the district collector, it's an UT, Union Territory, told that not to visit that area. But he says that nothing will happen. He is a researcher. Nothing will happen. He didn't agree. He took the permission. He made the declaration that anything happens, I will be responsible. Nobody will other than will be responsible. So he was permitted. And then along the tribe and other, he had gone there. Because so much remote and others say they take it differently and so on. So there I think he got the attack there and the researcher died. Probably maybe bow or arrow shooting and other. So this is a very difficult kind of thing in this ethnographic research, actually studying about ethnic groups and other. It doesn't mean that studies are not there. In India also being done, and in particularly if you refer to tribes in India, those are your areas in the whole of Northeast. You will find the different tribes. Then in other parts you will find in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Odisha and other. You will not find in Haryana tribes. Here you will find scheduled caste, Punjab and Haryana, SC. But tribes are in the Andaman Nicobar. Those areas you will find the tribes. Jammu Kashmir also will find ST tribe. So, but there are some where ethnic groups which you are part, which all tribes are there, ethnic groups and so on. And now our President of India, Madam Draupadi Murmu, also belongs to ethnic group of tribe in Mayurbhanj districts of Odisha actually. Okay. So there have been research. It doesn't mean that we cannot do it. What I'm trying to say is it is rigorous. And normally people do through project-based research where there is some kind of funding. It is a labor-intensive endeavor, requires a long period of time to complete the study. When it will end, you are not sure. The researcher strives to participate in cultural events and activities. You have to be part of that events and activities to understand better what we talked about, that emic perspective. One more example. All of you know Kumbh Mela, which happens in 12 years in Prayagraj, earlier Allahabad, Prayagraj, Ujjain, and other. So you know there was one researcher from Harvard University doing research on these sadhus, what they do, what this thing and this. So he came during Kumbh Mela full time and he was with them continuously, living with them, what they eat and other. So that way. So it is such kind of thing where, because then only you can elicit the responses spontaneously. Because many of time they may not reveal the things. So that was also in news about that research. Because then only we can get that perspective, emic perspective and views. So it requires intimacy with the members of cultural group that requires active involvement of the research. So this is a kind of research which requires complete immersion with the group. Immersion. जैसे जब पूजा होता है हम जैसे मूर्ति को पानी में विसर्जन कर देते हैं, तो ऐसे उस सोसाइटी, उस कल्चर ग्रुप, उस ट्राइब में आपको मिलके रहना है, टू द एक्सटेंट अगर हम और रिगर की बात करें, that means suppose you are vegetarian and we are doing a research in a tribe in Mizoram, Mizo tribe. Then they eat non-veg. So maybe for that short period of time, you need to eat that. Foreign Western researchers do not mind kya hai another thing and so on. Even if not all time, but something to understand that too and so on. So this is just an example, recur, where you need to you need to do something for your research. So that's the ethnomethodology. And just for your knowledge sake, in our northeastern, this Nagaland, Mizoram and other, you know about the tribes in Nagaland, in Naga tribes. Mizoram, there are three major tribes. One is Garo, then Gentia, and I think one more is Khasi. And do you know that they have their own language, but they are not scripted. They are not our official language. Official languages are 24. But what I'm trying to say, their scripts are like this English, which is Roman script. But you can't understand that one. The Roman script is there in this Garo language, Khasi language, Mizo language of Mizoram, Nagamich also. Nagamich is a language. So this Roman script like A, B, C, D. But if you read, you can't understand. It happened with me in Shillong bus stand, Meghalaya. When I get down from that time bus from Guwahati to this one, when I get down from that Shillong bus stand, I saw the paper, newspaper, tabloid, half paper जो होता है वो वाला. वो मुझे लगा कि वो इंग्लिश होगा क्योंकि वो स्क्रिप्ट इंग्लिश में है उसकी. मैंने ले लिया ऐसे ही और कि होटल में उसको पढ़ लूंगा. जब खोला पढ़ा तो उधर मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आया. It was purely in that, I think, खासी लैंग्वेज. तो इस तरफ का भी वेरिएशंस है हमारे इंडिया उसमें. I mean, there are languages where your script is this English. Roman, you can say Roman. That one. So there are this. So there are opportunities for research in those areas also, and people are doing. There are special centers in those, like Northeastern Hill University, Shillong. अब तो हर जगह हो गया है separate central university. So they have these kind of centers on tribal research. A lot of research is done in this phenomenological ethnomethodology and so on. So these are the approaches. Some more the steps, right? You can see about this. What we talk, we put it into the steps. In ethnography, identification of the cultures to be studied. Which culture you are going to study? Garo, Kant, Bhils. And they are, if you take it related to these things, to our independence movement, also they have great contribution. You know, yesterday that some Assamese, some king was there, from that where 400 years celebration was there in Bigyan Bhavan. Rajit something in Assam.